Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. My name is Tony. This is the 15-minute gaming channel, and today we're talking about Scum. Scum aims to evolve the multiplayer open world survival game with unprecedented levels of character customization, control, and progression, where knowledge and skills are the ultimate weapons for long-term survival. So yes, this is an open world survival game, and yeah, I know most of you are gonna go, oh god, not another one. I know. I know. This is one I've kind of avoided. I've been burnt a lot regarding open world survival games. Like, the amount I own is unreal, and how many come to any sort of conclusion or finished product? None. Maybe one. And Scum was one of them ones when I saw, I was like, right, okay, I get where you're going, but I'm not prepared to jump in yet. But they released a big update like last week, which is the 0.5 update, which included sharks and boats and stuff like that. I was like, I'm maybe going to get involved now. And I've put about 10 hours in over the course of the weekend. And what I want to do today is just discuss my initial thoughts, impressions, what I think of it. Is it a worthy succession into this survival genre that I love, that I play a lot of time in? And how does it compare to things like DayZ, 7 Days to Die, Rust, that sort of thing? Before we get into it, as always, if you like this video, don't forget to drop it a like, subscribe and hit that notification bell, and if you think someone will find it useful, share the link. Also, in the comments below, if you've been playing it, let me know. If you haven't checked it out yet, is there something you really want to check out? Does this video make you want to check it out, or whatever? Just get the conversation flowing before, and we'll have a little bit of a chat, shall we? Right, let's crack on with today's video. So I know what you're going to say, 10 hours isn't much on this game, and it's not, which is why this is an initial impressions, sort of honest look at the game. I've got no expectations jumping into this game. I hadn't really followed development. To me, it was just one of them kind of, okay, I'll leave that to kind of cook in the oven a little bit before I jump in. So I'm hoping I can give you a bit of an unbiased view, because I've noticed a lot of people on the review section on Steam, it seems to be, it's sitting very positive at the moment, to be fair, in the last 30 days. But I find a lot of people whinging tend to have something against the developer, or expected a little bit too much, or maybe complain that it's a bit too much like other survival games. And to me, being like another survival game isn't necessarily a bad thing, as long as it takes them good points from a survival game and melds them into one package. Doesn't bother me at all. So yeah, I hope that it all comes across like that. So this is kind of my initial thoughts from that. When you dropped in, there's a very small tutorial. There's 4 tutorials. It gets you to build a shelter, it gets you to build your first tool and your first bag, basically, and then like kind of a storage box. The tutorial hasn't updated since the last update, so the tutorial actually leaves you a little bit blank towards the end. It's like, well, what am I going to do? But the tutorial is quite well thought out, so it doesn't just dump you in there like some survival games do. There is a bit of a tutorial to kind of get you started. It is an MMO, as I said, so it's multiplayer online, but and without the need for any sort of like mods or setting your own server up or anything like that. You can play single player, and that to me is fantastic. I'm not interested in the PvP aspect. I'm only here for PvE and survival gameplay. And like, you know, you want to play a Rust offline on your own, you can do that, but you've got to set your own server up on your computer. You've got to update, you've got to do all these things and jump through hoops. And on this, you just press single player, and for me, that won lots of points instantly. So you'll jump in, you'll do your tutorial. There's no missions or end games that I've noticed so far. I've read, I don't think there's an end game out there. There's no missions really out there as well. If you're playing on a PvP server, from what I understand, you can be given tasks and stuff inside the game and like get to a certain area, and it might be red versus blue team, that sort of thing. So yeah, you'll jump in, do all that. There's a lot to take in regarding eating and metabolism. There is just a wall of stats, and this is going to get a huge update at some point. So like, if you eat something it might not have, say, vitamin D in. So you have to find something that has vitamin D to get your stats up. You can eat things like bugs. There's like little grasshoppers. There's larvae. There's fruit to go and find. There's apples. There's olives if you go into like olive fields. There's pumpkins you can eat. There's things to drink. There's water to find. So food-wise, there's a lot out there. And there's like the ultimate like MRE. And you have to keep your metabolism up because the more you run, the more metabolism. That's a lot of words to say metabolism. Keeping that up, and you have to kind of eat when you're hungry. And it even has a system for how to say this in the politest way, getting rid of bodily fluids. So you can make yourself sick if you've eaten something poisonous. You can go for a wee or you can go for a poop. So when your colon gets to 100% full, you have to poop, because obviously that is something you'd have to kind of do in real life. There's temperature, there's heart rate added in there, there's stamina. The stats grow as you do things. So as you move about the world and you crouch down, for example, you can update your stealth. You can get better at bows, guns. And all this is done by playing the game rather than speccing points into it. So you don't get like a point system like, say, 7 Days to Die, when you can just be better at something just by clicking on it. Or whatever, you can just click and do it as you go. So when you're going through, your stealth and other mechanics will increase. You'll run faster, you'll move quicker. When you die, you don't lose any of them stats. You lose everything you've got, but you don't lose your stats. So you'll lose your weapons, your armor. Kind of like Escape from Tarkov. You know, when you die in Escape from Tarkov, you just lose absolutely everything. Kind of imagine that. As you go through, you get fame points. So by killing zombies or puppets, as they're called, you'll get fame points. Fame points can be used to respawn. So say it's 25 to respawn anywhere randomly on the map, 50 to pick where you want to respawn. So one sort of thing I would say is, if you spawn in a bit of a rubbish area, just get your 50 fame points, commit suicide, and then just spawn somewhere you want to do. Obviously the grids could be quite big, but just kind of pick somewhere you want to go. Or 75 points to respawn back at your home base or shelter. When we talk about stats, it even notices how many teeth you've got left. Like, that's the level it kind of goes to. There's a very basic HUD in there, so you can see kind of your metabolism, your energy levels, that sort of thing. So you can keep an eye on all that. It's got a lot of crafting in, so how crafting works isn't particularly intrusive or long. You'll make a stone knife, and then that stone knife can be made to chop down a bush where you can get logs from. You can chop them logs down into planks if you've got the right tools. You can make long sticks into short sticks. 5 short sticks equal a rope. Build a rope, and then you can make yourself a axe or a hammer. Or if you've got a long stick, you can make yourself a spear and stuff like that. So there's different levels of crafting. And at the beginning of the game, when you set your character up, you can set yourself up to be really good at engineering, which would then mean you can craft more things. So yeah, that's kind of how all that works in the sense. One thing I hate about crafting is when you craft something, it doesn't automatically go into your inventory, it goes on the ground. So the amount of times you'll craft something, walk away and be like, oh my god, I've forgotten where it is. And you'll be like, where is it? And you'll be searching around. What is handy though is you can press the tab key, it brings your inventory up, and you can see everything around you in a certain vicinity. So you don't have to like search everywhere, as long as it's kind of in that area. It's also quite annoying with the inventory space. If you've got something in your hands and you get into a car, it'll just drop whatever's in your hand. So the amount of times you'll sort of have your crossbow in your hands because you've just been firing it, you'll then jump in the car, drive somewhere, go to get your crossbow out, and it's gone. And bearing in mind, these things can take a long time to get there. So yeah, that can be a little bit annoying when you're looting, because obviously in this sort of game there's a lot of looting to go with. Loot can be a little bit scarce. I think it needs to be a little bit more at times. There's plenty of metals and stuff, but I haven't found many weapons. I know obviously they're in the better places like the military bases, but even in the military bases I'm not finding a huge amount. And quite often when you search somewhere, it'll be like, yeah, there's nothing there at all. So there is a lot of looting. If I had to sort of compare it towards one of the other survival games, I would say it is like DayZ. I think DayZ would be the closest rep to it, because when you're walking around, it feels very Daisy with the size. The size of the island is massive. If you don't find a car, it can take bloody ages to get anywhere. And like Daisy and them sort of things, you can put a backpack on, which means you can store things. Then you can get trousers. You can put things in your trousers. And depend on the condition, is depend on how much you can store in the trousers or the top or the vest. And then you can even cut them clothes up to make rags, which can make bandages or extra bags. You can store stuff in cars if you find them. So yeah, it's very much like Daisy in that sense. It has no, as I said, no end game, which is obviously a lot like these other survival games. There's animals out there, so there's things like deers, wolves, bears. There's fishing now added into the game, so you can go get a fishing rod and go and hunt some fish. There's zombies or puppets. So these are kind of one of the main enemies in the game. The puppets are ex-Scum people, so they kind of have the thing on the back. You have like a weird thing on the back of your neck which kind of controls you. And these are controlled. That's why they're called puppets, because they're still controlled even though they die. There's not loads of them. Some areas can have quite a few. Sometimes you can enter a place and not find any. I wish there was maybe a couple of more of them, because they are quite fun. Combat is alright. It's not too bad. It's a little bit janky. The puppets will get stuck on things. So, you know, sometimes you can outrun them by sort of hiding behind a rock or something. Sometimes they'll be able to get past. Once you find one, you can then scavenge whatever they've got on. Not necessarily everything they've got on. Like, you might see an army guy and you're like, oh my god, I can do it with a hat. And it doesn't give you a hat or helmet or body armor. But you can cut their clothes up into rags. It has things like temperature built in, so you know if you're in the cold area, you'll have to think about getting more layers on. If you're in a warm area, taking layers off. There's loads of abandoned buildings and PUIs dotted around the landscape. There is airfields, there's brick factories, weapons factories, harbours, little towns, little farms, dairy farms. There's loads to find. And there's warehouses, there's olive fields, there's things. And when you go in, you'll find things in them certain areas. So military bases will have lots of military equipment. Go into a pharmacy, you'll find like pharmaceutical items. If you go into a farmhouse and go to the kitchen, you'll maybe find some food. So I do like the way they've done that. And there's lots of search as well. Like search hay bales and rubbish tips and stuff like that. Food's a little bit difficult to come across at times, but you can search things like tree stumps and find the lava and stuff like that. So there is always something to eat, or mushrooms on the ground. I've not noticed any side effects from anything yet, but I think if you eat too many of certain type of mushrooms, you can get a little bit ill. So yeah, be a bit careful. But you can drink stuff, fill water up, and that sort of thing. The crafting menu in it, I know we covered it a little bit before, is a little bit convoluted to understand at times. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Like it'll say, right, I want to craft that, but then won't select the item in the inventory, so you got to select it manually, and there's no way to reset. Just like hitting craft, and it's like craft, 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 craft. But luckily it can be on the floor. It could be in a box. It could be on your person to craft, so you don't necessarily have it, which I think is a really good thing as well. There's also another type of enemy, just while we talk about enemies. There's these things called mechs, which are in every single zone. These mechs take 400-500 bullets to take down. As long as you sneak behind them, they won't take you out, but 1 or 2 hits and that's it, you're gone. You're absolutely dead. So it is something to think about, is that mechs can be a little bit of a pain, but you can then use them to your advantage. So if you want to set up your camp in a military base, as long as you can get in out of their mech seeing you, totally fine. So yeah, you can like go behind them and thingy. Anything else I kind of want to cover? No, so I think that's kind of Scum totally summed up. It is your typical survival game. I think it does some things really well. I like the crafting element. I like the sense of survival. I do really feel like I'm surviving. I think the puppets make a nice addition. I just wish there was maybe a little bit more of them. I think the mechs do add as well. I would maybe like to see, I don't know if there is, there could be, maybe like armed mercenaries or something that maybe are humans beside the mechs that have guns and stuff. They're really getting some really good firefights with them. I think it could be really cool. Oh, talk about the puppets. Totally forgot. There is different types. Some will be armored. There's suicide puppets that'll just run towards you and like beep, 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 bang. However, there's no splash damage from them, which is a little bit annoying. So if you like shoot one in the middle of loads of zombies, the rest of the zombies won't die. So I quite like that. The map, as I said, is huge, but bearing in mind there's only 64 if you play a multiplayer, and this map is rather large. Chance of you seeing so might be quite remote, to be fair. I would pitch up beside a POI because you need somewhere where you can loot and get loads of equipment. What I don't like, I'm not a huge fan of the infantry system, the way it puts things on the floor when you craft it. I know it's so it doesn't use up your infantry space. And I also don't like the way if it's in your hand and you get into a vehicle, or say you've got your thing in your hand, you then pick up an apple, it'll drop your crossbow or weapon and then it's gone. Because if you can't find it again, it's just disappearing. So I'm not a huge fan of that. I understand why it's doing it. But yeah, I think that could do with improvement. I think sometimes the feedback in the game can be a little bit low. Like when you're spotted by a mech, I'm like, how do you spot me? Like there's no way you could see me from over there. So again, I would maybe like to see if it's like a cone measurement, maybe like if you've been spotted, maybe something above the head just to notify you, just to go, okay, now I'm being spotted and run away. That could do for a little bit of improvement. There is base building, totally forgot to mention that. So far, I've played around with it a little bit. You can put walls up, gates up, you can put little flags, little signposts. You can build yourself a house. It all seems very usable. It's not a huge problem. And gathering resources isn't massive. Get a stone axe, chop a tree down, you can then build your wall. And as I said, because this map's so big, you can swim, you can go underwater, you can get boats and move around. There's lots of car transports to get around. There's about 5, 6, 7, 8 cars, that type of cars I've come across so far. Not very common, but they are there. Tractors seem to be the most common, but there's like police cars and stuff, as you can see from the video in the background. So yeah, my first 10 hours impression, I quite enjoyed it. I think it's one of them ones I'm looking forward to keep playing. I think that it's enjoyable. The graphics are nice. There's nothing in there that's too egregious or too like, oh my god, I can't be arsed with that. And really, you can get up survival, build yourself a spear or bow in about 20 minutes. And within 20 minutes, you could be hunting, go around to POIs and taking out the zombies. Yeah, take a few arrows, but you can do it. And yeah, I'm interested to see where this one goes. And if you keep watching, there will be, over the next few weeks, beginners tutorials on how to get started, because obviously I've been watching a lot of them. So you know what I like to do is take these and put them into my own little stance of how tutorials should be. Gonna have a look at a few of them, do a few tutorials, do some more gameplay videos, go and find things like sharks, talk about the best places to spawn, that sort of thing. And I really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. And you know, if you're gonna check this game out, let me know in the comments below, or let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.